The Lustful Vicar is a 1970s Swedish comedy film directed by Torgny Wickman and starring Jarl Borsen. It was released to cinemas in Sweden on 13th March 1970. Around the year 1800, Sweden is at war with Russia, and almost all the men from the village have been called up to fight at the front. So when a new priest arrives, all the women are excited and happy because finally a man is back in the village. Only one woman is not happy. That is the daughter of the witch. She is still seeking revenge because her mother was burned at the stake some time ago. A Swedish folk horror comedy about a witch who gets burned at the stake but manages to get in a curse on her persecutor, whose wicked descendant 2 centuries later gets stuck with a perpetual boner that sabotage his career plan. Lots of guitar strumming folk music, supernatural flourishes and nudity, all shot in colorful scope and nicely preserved on the new club Super DVD out in Sweden. Crazy stuff. During a witch trial in the 17th century, a woman is accused of being a witch and burned at the stake. The witch cursed the village priest, who pushed through the accusation and promises that her offspring will avenge her. During the caroling, the priest's son takes over as vicar of the congregation, and the daughter of the witch bewitches him so that he suffers constant erection. This is of course very embarrassing for the vicar. The local women has to step in and try to set things right. Easily Wickman's most accomplished narrative film technically, beautifully shot and almost coherent. Great use made of an absolutely piece out of his box. Cornelis Rizig, who stumbled in his performance. The minstrel narrator could have been great if he had been bothered. Once again a comedy that brings some of the love and none of the comedy. The priest predicament is vaguely set up. Then he is left to die in bed for an hour, while ladies with photogenic bodies bounce on him as he says, "Oh." These all end up with a canon ejaculation finale that would make Roy Anderson proud. The Reverend Ship is a comedy focusing above all on the grotesque. Starting point of the plot: a witch is burned by a representative of the church. She obviously swears revenge. Beginning of the 19th century, the descendant of the witch, now an adult, cast a spell on the new reverend. This is our man with pre-apism, since the villagers have gone to war, with the exception of a few. These ladies rush at the religious in the hope of chasing away his evil, while hypocritically seizing the opportunity to gratify unsatisfied desire account given the mobilization. It's a topic that deserves another. The treatment, however, is surprisingly grotesque. The priest, far from being a seducer, is a grimacing little man who struggles and who suffers the situation. Like the caricatural character of the Italian comedy, He is constantly whining, rolling his eyes, experiencing mishap, falls in water, in a barrel, reprimand from his superior. We will hardly look for eroticism there, despite the presence of certain actresses who are a pleasure to see. In a particular, a redhead with green eyes. Strangely, Magali Noel appears in the credit, in the role of a French bourgeois. From time to time, a troubadour interrupts the action to narrate the misfortune of the priest on folk melodies. The idea is funny, but very badly managed. It intervenes constantly in the first minute, then disappears completely before returning at the end. Torgny Wickman opts for a realization that is almost too classy, considering the caricatural nature of the project. Here and there, we spot elegant camera movement, beautifully highlighted exterior, a surprising night scene on the water, lit by craters filled with burning wood, and clever composition. However, this formal concern is not enough to arouse enthusiasm. Everything is so second degree that we remain distanced. The plot itself does not evolve much and is limited to the same repetitive ideas. We therefore obtain a watchable, sometimes amusing tape, without great ambition, which will be quickly forgotten. In the genre, Erwin Dietrich is still the champion. A village priest gets his case for when a curse is executed. He gets uninterrupted erection, and something must be done. Long before medicine, it was extra fun to fantasize about many men's sweat, but at the same time painfully affected dream, eternal standing organ. That's what Charles Boson, village pastor, gets when he arrives at his new office. And that it is a curse is certainly such as he was promised by a witch. He let go up in flames. Of course, it is extra stressful for an Orthodox priest to constantly wear iron, not least because the village is populated almost exclusively by young virgins who are chronically horny and constantly offer themselves by lifting up and down the skirt and bear both lower and supra regional temptation. Soon the priest cannot resist the pressure, and the women stand in line at his man's bed. They get a round of stick, and here it is so convenient that all the women in the village are bottomless. With others, it is not necessary to heel, mammoth underpant and mammoth shutter off. But what does it not end up with for our poor priest? We leave the answer. The pastor is a beautifully produced and photographed Swedish costume drama. The action is set in sometime in the early 1800s. Especially in the beginning, the film experience is characterized by elegance and is at the same time quite honestly told without too much fuss. But that is changing radically as the P focus is taking over completely. Now things are running in circles, and the burnout of the hint is becoming flat very quickly. It gets really bad when Dutch Passer and Louis Me Renard enter the stage at the very end of the glories. Otherwise, it is Dutch that the Danish marketing of the film hits completely on. He is on for maybe 2 minutes and in a horribly stupid, idiotic supporting role as Bartholomew with abilities in magic tricks, assisted by an at least equally abused Miher, who by the way is credited as Louis Miher, and a greater Nissan, who starred in Wooden and Travel, is the film's third Danish kick. And she once again gets the opportunity to throw away all the rags. More subtle and a mitigating circumstance is Cornelis Rizik's performance as a singing intermezzo guitarist. His small, whimsical song ties the plot together. In addition, there is plenty of background music in large part of the film. The pasta, crunchy Swedish comedy, where a witch curse makes a modest priest wake up one morning with a chronic erection. All men are at war and the village of Force get a new pastor. The pastor's ancestor burned a witch on a bonfire in the 17th century and she threw a curse on the family. One day the priest wakes up with a stand that does not want to give way. He has been invited to the rector and all the 6 hungry women of the village do their best to cure the priest's condition so the visit can end. The film is based on Bent Enderberg's short story When It Went for the Pastor in the popular anthology Lavai. Director Torgny Wickman was passionate about both issue of romance and the double standard of the clergy and the small town. So the film was made for him. Not his Swedish love comedy, where a witch put a curse on a priest when she is burned at the stake. 200 years later, the priest's descendant wake up with a chronic erection when he is due to meet the bishop. All the men are at war. So the village women are more than eager to help out curing his condition. Swedish cinema first began to have attention drawn to it because of the work of director Ingmar Bergman. His film depicts a realistic and honest portrayal of life and set up themes that have been carried out into modern Swedish cinema. Their cinema appealed to global audiences because many of the films have themes that people can relate to, including isolation, death, love, politics, religion, and the treatment of women, among other themes. The films have a wide target audience that typically aim for more mature Scandinavian audiences, ranging from teenage years to late adult years. Sweden has many different genres and themes, so along with their target audience, the film appeal to people of all ages and all level of social class. Another reason that Swedish cinema appeal to the world is due to Swedish filmmakers' mission to vanquish the Swedish film industry of gender inequality. This mission goes hand in hand with the country's goal of freeing Swedish society of discrimination between genders. Sweden is positioned as the 4th greatest place in the world in terms of equality between genders according to a report on the gender gap recorded in 2013. There is a test known as the Victor test in which the film must feature 2 or more female characters that have a name. They must talk to one another and their conversation must be about something other than a man. A few theatres in Sweden have even begun to use a letter grade seal of approval to inform audiences of which film have passed the Victor test. Countless popular Hollywood films do not even pass this test, including the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, The Social Network, and The Avatar. The feminist movement is rapidly growing all over the world, and women search for films that star female who are actually important and essential to the plot for reasons other than being a damsel in distress. Sweden answered that call by encouraging filmmaker and director to put their film to the Victor test. Swedish cinema is very unique and tend to produce a very particular type of film with a clear audience in mind. However, their films, through theme, stylistic technique, and bold political movement, appeal to many audiences around the world.